Hadi, welcome to season 4 of the Leadville Podcast. Sort of.
Yes, sort of, kind of, huh? This season is going to center around stories.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about what you can expect and have a conversation with a couple of guys. We're going to help a few people tell some Leadville stories of their own.
3, 2, 1.
Leadville, the podcast for the 100-mile mountain bike race presented by Floyd's of Leadville. This is season 4, episode 0 of the show that breaks down, builds up, gets you ready, and freaks you out for the highest and hardest one-day mountain bike race in the country. I'm Michael Hutton, Hadi to most.
I've missed hearing you say that, Hadi. I'm Patty, and this is sort of our season opener, but not quite. We're going to be talking with Ryan Petry and Alexey Vermeulen, and they had a remarkable idea very recently. Pick 3 people from a large field of unknown entries, a lot of videos, and then give them almost everything they need to race the Leadville 100.
Now, first, a little something about our 2 guests today. First, Ryan Petry. He's won barn burner at least twice. In fact, he really couldn't recall how many times he won it because he's also won it kind of in a team competition, in a relay situation. So he doesn't know for sure. I know I was there for one of his wins. So I can confirm that Ryan has won barn burner at least once and probably twice. And now 3 times he's also been top 10 at the Leadville 100, a 7th twice and a 6th place, Fatty.
Yeah, he is fast, and his coworker, co-founder, companion friend is also super fast. Alexey Vermeulen. He's the 2019 Iceman Cometh champ. He's ridden with Lotto Jumbo NL and the BMC development team, and he has a top 5 finish during his stage at the Criterium Dauphiné. He has not, however, I will say, at least not yet, raced the Leadville 100. He does, however, ride with his dog in a little backpack almost everywhere he goes.
Yeah, very funny. If you're a regular listener to this show, this contest, which they're calling From the Ground Up, probably not for you because, frankly, you know the Leadville Trail 100 and you've raced it, and they're looking for somebody with, let's say, a lot less experience. However, it may be, though, the gateway drug for someone you do know, someone who's maybe a little curious or sort of heard of the Leadville Trail 100, but has no idea about getting into it or riding a bike or so forth.
Yeah, someone who is Leadville curious. And it is very intriguing talking with these guys about the folks that they are going to try to bring from the ground up to racing the Leadville 100 from ground level to 10,200 feet in almost exactly 6 months.
And that is a steep and tall ramp.
Ryan, Alexey, welcome. It is so great to have you on the Leadville Podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, so when I heard your story and the videos, when I heard your story and the contest that you were putting on, we had to get you on because, frankly, if I had never done this race, instead of having done this race 23 times, I definitely would have entered. So tell us a little bit about yourselves and where this crazy idea came from.
This project started off, Alexey and we met this year. Alexey moved to Boulder, and we just became friends, and we were riding, and we were just talking about the state of the industry. As you know, with COVID and everything, there was no races, and there's just everything was flipped on its head, and we just both had a lot in common as far as like how we felt like there was a lot of opportunity this year and opportunity for athletes and, influential riders to do something. And we saw there's just so many new riders getting into the sport, whether it's, because their gyms closed down or they're just super bored or whatever. People are picking up bikes like crazy, like the industry's never seen. And so we just started sort of thinking about different ways that we could make an impact and try to reach this more like ground level newcomer athletes, and just people who are into riding bikes. And so we just started thinking about what we could do in our position, and just started to get a little bit creative.
And so, Alexey, maybe we can have you describe exactly what the contest is.
So we are going to take 3 people who found the bike for differing reasons, whether their gym closed or they just needed to get out of the house for mental sanity during the past 9 months, 12 months. And we're going to help them and follow the process of them from, where they stand now, possibly riding 20 miles, 10 miles, 5 miles, whatever it might be, and towards their progress to take on the Leadville Trail 100 and what some would call the hardest mountain bike race in the nation.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, I think we say that in our intro.
Yeah. We scare people with our intros, what we try and do at least. Ryan, you're totally right about all the newcomers on bikes. I mean, I was out riding yesterday, and I can't tell you how many new bikes I saw on the trail. I mean, I saw a guy going up one of my favorite trails, and the bike, I guarantee it was straight off the showroom floor, and there he was charging up one of my favorite climbs here in Los Angeles. Now, for most of the folks who listen to this show, they're Leadville veterans. They know the drill. They probably would not qualify for this contest, but we hope they'll, take some, a little entertainment out of this, kind of following others as they progress. So tell me, what are you exactly? What would qualify somebody to be in this event? Who are you looking for? Somebody specific, or are you casting a wide net here?
We've gone back and forth, kind of figuring out what that is and what that looks like. So when the idea was born, it was really, we felt like a lot of the idea sort of came from this show that I was watching, and my wife got me into it. It's a show called Queer Eye, and it's on Netflix, and it's just a great show. I was watching it, and these 5 guys just take these incredibly relatable people and just change their lives through some quick things. Just, giving them a little bit of confidence through, changing up their wardrobe a little bit, helping their house to be, something that they're excited and proud of. And it was amazing how little it seemed like they had to do to totally change and turn around somebody's life. And I really thought that, I think a lot of people can easily get into just little ruts, and we just all need somebody to sometimes just reach down and help us. And it can be so many different things that can get us out of those ruts. But unfortunately, sometimes you need that help. And so the people that we're looking for are, it's just anybody. It doesn't have to be this super deep, crazy, thing that's going on in their lives, but we want people who we're not looking for people that say, I just want to get the belt buckle. I just want to train and get faster. That's not it. We want people who believe, just like we believe, that in the power of a bicycle as, a mode for change and how many positive things it can bring out. So that's who we're looking for. And we tried to explain that, in our intro video, which is on YouTube and on all of our channels, but it's kind of hard to explain, but it's so not about, necessarily like, it's not all about Leadville. It's about that journey between where they're at now in their lives and where they can be when they start that race and, hopefully finish that race.
I love it. This is Pro Eye for the Leadville guy is what is the show that you're doing.
Hell yeah.
So, how many people have entered so far?
We have nearly 700 people, which is really, really, really cool. Just the response overall to, I think, people, whether or not they get chosen. There's just been a lot of people that reached out, and you just kind of start a fire inside people that they already have burning. It just needs a spark. So I hope there's more people headed to Leadville regardless of if they get, selected for this project.
So what are you looking for in a video? I imagine this episode of the show is going to be handed off to friends and family of racers saying, here's your chance to try to get into this thing that I love. What would make a great contestant? What would make a great video that would improve someone's chances of being noticed by you?
I think the biggest thing is just personality. I mean, that's hard to say to a lot of people because the reality is, you do want people to be able to watch this and also want to get into the sport, also want to continue what they've started with COVID. And there's some creativity and fun is always a fun addition. I mean, we had one guy who set up an interview panel with his wife and daughter, and we had one guy who recreated a scene from Legally Blonde. But yeah, I think the reality is really just a story and personality is really where it is. And whether that story is about cycling or not, like Ryan said, we all kind of want to continue moving forward. And sometimes we have something in our way.
So what do I need to bring to the table? Do I need to have one of these new bikes off the showroom floor we just talked about? Do I need the clothing, shoes, helmet? What do I need to get into this thing?
The point here, and this is something that I don't think has been covered a lot in the little bit of, videos and stuff that we've put out there. The whole point of this project is the three people, we hope to change their lives and we hope to make their lives better. It's everybody else. It's everybody else who questions, their ability and, is just getting into riding or maybe hasn't yet picked up riding. But this sport is crazy intimidating. I mean, I'm still intimidated by this sport, looking around at, it's nuts. And you see these pelotons of riders and these super fancy bikes and you hear about, carbon fiber, that must have been so expensive. And there's so many excuses not to get into it. And then once you're into it, not to get further into it so we're going to be showing, and we're working closely with all of our sponsors and supporters of this project we want to show people that it doesn't have to be as intimidating as it seems. And we are not providing these riders with $10,000, $12,000 bikes. It's not about that. It's about, you can do something incredible with a little bit of support. Sure, it's awesome to get a bunch of free gear. But it's just more, hey, it's creating a model and a blueprint that other people can watch and other people can watch these people doing it. And at the end of it, they go, you know what, I could do that too. I need this much, I maybe don't have to spend quite as much as I thought. And I maybe don't need quite as much time as I figured I would. And if I kind of follow this path, I can do something incredible. And it doesn't have to be the Leadville 100. It can be anything. It can be ride around your block 20 times. If riding around twice right now seems super scary and hard, and then that can be it. So that is the goal of this project in a nutshell. And so these people, some of them, yes, they take their videos and they have a bike in the background and they talk about, the gear that they have, and that's great. Everyone's, on a little bit different part of the spectrum here. But if they don't have anything and they've ridden a bike 10 times, maybe it was when they were a kid, we're going to have everything they need to get them to that finish line if they're chosen.
Wow. So I love that you are thinking more about all of the people who are going to be watching this more than just the people who are going to be winning the initial contest part. And of course, there are a couple of different finish lines for this. One of them is, winning the contest so that you can participate in the race. But that's kind of maybe two different kinds of people, right? Are there people who you would caution against entering this? Because not everyone with 6 months to, 6 months from now till the race day who should necessarily hit that number. It's doing the Leadville 100 in 12 hours is no joke, and 6 hours is not a lot of time.
I don't think that anybody should be afraid of applying. There are people, no joke, that have said, I haven't ridden since I was a kid. They get on there and in their interview, they call it the Leadville 100. Like, they straight up don't know what the race is, but they just think this sounds so cool and just epic, and they're down for it. And they're throwing their hat in the ring. It is just incredible and so inspiring. And I mean, it's hard to watch these videos because I just want to give so many of these people like a big hug, and I want to help them. It's going to be crazy hard to pick just 3. And we're starting to figure out how we can be there for everybody in maybe a different, obviously not quite as intimate fashion, but I want everyone to apply. It's because, again, it's not about that finish time. It's not about necessarily even the finish line. The finish line for somebody, if they've never been on a bike and they are definitely an underdog going into this, if they can just start that thing, I mean, come on, that's an intimidating thing in itself. For a lot of these people, creating a video was a huge step. And so many people have already told us, wow, like, you got me already thinking about that I can do more on a bike, and this hasn't even started yet. So it's really cool. And I think Alexey and I both are just like, wow, we've been wanting something like this in our lives for a while. I mean, as bike racers, it sometimes can feel lonely, and it can sometimes feel like you're not really doing anything to move the world forward. And I think as humans, we all inherently need that. And we're all striving for that. And it feels really good for us that we've found something that we can give back. We're both in front of our computers more than we ever have, and it's really fun. And it's fun to work together on this too. I don't know how we would do it without each other.
Okay, how about getting, obviously, your participants ready for this event? Once you pick them, you're going to have to get them ready. Now, Ryan, you're a great mountain biker. I've seen you on the podium. I've seen you winning the Barn Burner, a Leadville qualifier. You have top 10s at Leadville. You know what it takes to get your body ready for an event. Alexey, you've been on the Pro Tour. You won the Iceman Cometh in 2019, a very difficult event up in Michigan. You know what it takes to get yourself ready. Now, you don't have your participants yet, but what do you imagine is going to be the biggest hurdle from a training aspect, getting somebody who has little to no racing or mountain biking experience ready for a 103-mile mountain bike event at 10,000 feet?
Everything. I could just start a list. But no, I mean, I think the most important thing is going to be just your mentality going into the race. For any race, it's important, but for a race like Leadville, and for someone who possibly won't have done a race before that, it's just going to be taking that 1 mile at a time and understanding that there's going to be peaks and valleys, just like there are in any other thing that you take on in life. And even when it's crappy, you kind of look to your left, look to your right, and kind of realize that you're in this, you decided to do this, and everything you've done training-wise up to that point is only going to get you through it. All of the other little things that we all know as cyclists are going to be important. I mean, it's been really cool to bring on the Sufferfest, because it's just going to be a really cool way to allow people to train and get to a point where they're comfortable in their own homes. And then even just nutrition. I mean, just realizing that I think that was the hardest thing for me to learn as I started racing longer races, is just how you eat and drink for that amount of time. So I think all those things are going to be really high up on the list, and, making it not as stressful, but just helping these people understand that, like, all of these things will make this and your life easier come August 14th.
I'm interested, once you pick these 3 lucky people and the time between when they're selected and on race day, what happens? Are you going to be following their progress? Are we going to be able to learn alongside them? the lessons about training and nutrition and recovery and what gear to bring and how to take care of your bike on the field and all of these things. They're bound to be picking up a lot of interesting knowledge that I imagine the people who didn't get in would be interested in following along.
Yeah, and we have I think that's the goal. Like Ryan said, is our real goal, overarching goal here is not just those 3 people. It's to make an impact in whatever way, whether it's small or large, on everybody who wants to be a part of something going forward. But obviously we don't have a $1 million budget. We can't document every single part of it, but our goal is to have moments that these people have handheld cameras themselves and are this workout was just horrible and I felt like crap and I didn't want to do it and went home. And but yeah, the goal is for people to be able to learn, whether or not you're picked or not, that from this documentary or series you can figure out how to possibly take on something of this magnitude.
So who is going to be taking care of these racers on race day? Is it you two, or are you two racing, or how is that going to work?
I know Alexey has had his eye on Leadville for a while. I've done it a bunch of times, but I always want to go race and do better. We're going to just have to see how this project pans out. We 100% this year are racers. We are going to be training as hard as ever, training together, doing a lot of other things, not just this project. But the project has become this thing it was always going to be this thing, but we need to make sure that that game day is an important day. So if we can figure it out where we can race and still be there for each other, but put ourselves into, race mode, then we'll do that. If we need to split up and maybe just one of us races, then we'll do that. But I will say, if we both end up racing, we'll have a trusted support crew, maybe my wife, Alexey's girlfriend, friends that can be there to help us not only, get the documenting done, but also just, support these people and be there for these riders. So it'll be interesting, but that's to be determined.
So what kind of time commitment do you think this is going to require of the people who are going to be competing?
I think the minimum time and that was one of the questions we asked on the application, how much time do you have or you think you have to dedicate toward this project? And obviously things are going to change. But I think the minimum we've kind of understood that we think it will take from people, at least for going through toward the last couple months going into Leadville, is a minimum of 10 hours a week. We know that's a commitment, but we think that our goal is to be able to help people, whether they want to get through it, through the whole race. We know kind of what that takes, and it's a big commitment, and we're hoping that people understand that as they apply. But yeah, I think our 10 hours is kind of the minimum that we've kind of set as what we think was doable to possibly finish Leadville.
Guys, I will say that I am really excited to find out who you select. It sounds like you've got a broad spectrum of people who have submitted already, and I'm sure that between when we're recording and it is what is the last day of the day the people can submit entries?
The 21st, so this Sunday.
Between now and the 21st, you are going to get a lot more entries. Please, let's stay in touch as you make those selections and hear their stories. And I'm excited to root for them on race day. Tell us one more time where people can find your site and enter.
It's fromthegroundup.bike, and it's a one-page website, so it should be pretty simple to find.
All right. Simple to find, simple form to fill out, but definitely a big commitment when you click submit. So yeah, the 10 hours per week, I think, honestly, that's conservative. And most of the people I know who race this put way more than 10 hours per week just in thinking about the race. So it does take over your life, no question. Enough so that Hadi and I seem to be 4 seasons into a podcast about it.
It's awesome. It's such a cool race. It's the perfect race to, kick this off. And, it's really, I'm excited to get back there. We already went up there to film the first episode and talked with Ken and Marilee. It was fun, but no, we've got great partners involved. Everyone's just so excited. The feedback has been really motivating for Alexey and I. So yeah, we're going to be documenting as much as we can. The plan is to have a bunch of episodes released on a bunch of different channels, not just our Instagrams, but the sponsors involved. And we want to reach a broad audience, not just bike racers, people that have no idea what Leadville is, just people that are interested and curious about doing a little bit more on a bike.
Alexey, Ryan, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys.
We are looking for 3 entry-level riders. Our goal is to get them to the finish line of the Leadville 100 mountain bike race.
Hadi, I am really looking forward to the stories these racers are going to have to tell. I still remember the first time I did the Leadville 100. Crossing the finish line, it's one of those moments in your personal reel, right? It is just a huge moment. I kind of envy, in fact, the people who are going to be chosen for this contest.
Yeah, the first time always leaves a lasting impression. You remember so much, and not only just the race day itself, but the time and the effort leading into the race. And that's what these folks are going to gather along the way as they participate in this contest. Stories like yours or theirs or mine are really the main reason we all do this race.
I love this race. And a huge chunk of why is the drama of it. The preparation, the execution, the combination of things that you expected, as well as the things you did not expect, all of those happening. It's just a story that is amazing to tell. And everyone is just, has got a great story. I love listening to them, and I'm excited to hear the stories that these contestants are going to have.
Mm-hmm. And that's what the season's going to be about, folks. It's going to be centered around stories. That's why I'm glad I'm teamed up with Eldon Fatty Nelson. If there's one thing I can always say about you, Eldon, is you are a terrific storyteller and a story listener, too. You love listening to them, and you can tell a great story as well. Stories of training, racing, success, failures. You've revealed all on this show, and we're hoping to kind of get some of those similar type stories from you folks, from people who listen to this show. So that's where we've been soliciting some of those stories. Everything that makes the Leadville 100 more than a race. Now, look, you're going to hear some of the other stuff that you've come accustomed to on this show. Mm-hmm. Some of the how-to stuff, some of the tip stuff, some of the technical stuff that we like to dig into. But again, the primary focus of this season will be stories.
Yep. We're definitely not going to stop being a how-to podcast, but the how you did it is also really interesting to hear. So a lot of you listeners have sent in your stories, and we're going to be helping you tell those stories soon. We're excited to hear your stories and help you share them.
And if you've got a story others should hear about, you haven't told us about yet, let us know, please. Head to the Leadville100podcast.com website and find a link to our Slack workspace where you can pitch us your story and jump into, of course, our never-ending Leadville conversation.
Once again, big thanks to Ryan and Alexey. If you liked this episode, please go over and give us a 5-star rating and a review over at Apple Podcasts, and be sure to share it with your cycling friends.
Also, follow us on Twitter. He is at Fat Cyclist, and I am at Michael Houghton, both on Twitter. Or find us on Facebook in that Leadville 100 Mountain Bike Participants group. Now, good luck in your training. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the 2021 starting line.